Well, it's personal between me and you, and I'm going to do you some serious harm, you big stiff idiot.
The Untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's been missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, I wanted to talk about this fight that took place on ShoBox this past Friday with Marquise Taylor and Paul Kroll because, there was so much attention placed on Kell Brook versus Amir Khan, as well as the Munguia versus Demetrius Ballard fight. That this is a fight that, I was live for this fight. I did have a live fight reaction for this card, but I didn't make a video about it, and I wanted to just give my little thoughts on this particular fight because I truthfully think to the core of my bones that this was a highway robbery. The result of the fight, for those that don't know, was a draw. I thought Marquise Taylor won this fight very, very easily. Now, coming into the fight, Paul Kroll was the favorite because Paul Kroll was 9-0. He had put together a good little record, beating some good fighters coming into the fight. Like he beat Lucas Santamaria, who recently beat Abel Ramos and is won a WBC eliminator. He beat him in 2020. He's beaten Shenard Bunch, who we've also seen fight on ShoBox, who we know is a good fighter. So he's done some good things, and with Paul Kroll's amateur pedigree, along with that, because Paul Kroll did qualify for the 2016 Olympic team, but then there were some things outside the ring that hindered him from going to the Olympic team. I was looking at him as the favorite, and most people were looking at him as the favorite. But I knew that this fight had a chance to be a very tricky one for him, because the night before the fight, I went and I watched Marquise Taylor and got myself very familiar with what he does and what he brings to the table. And Marquise Taylor is a guy that, on paper, you look at his record coming into the fight, he was 12-1-1 coming into the fight. He had only had one knockout coming into the fight, and that was in the fight right before this one. So, Taylor can't punch. That's the stigma he has in his career. But he presents some problems because Taylor is a 6'1", athletic, very mobile, very agile fighter at the 154, 147 weight division. He goes up and down in weight, but this fight was at 154. So he's a very, very tall guy for either one of the weight classes, and he's lanky, and he's got a long 76.5-inch reach, which is almost like a heavyweight reach advantage. It's a long reach for a guy in this weight class. So I knew going into the fight he was going to give Paul Kroll some stylistic problems, and boy, oh boy, was I right. I mean, I didn't think he beat Paul Kroll, but boy, man, he gave him the worst nightmare possible for this fight. With his, just because normally tall guys don't with his frame, they don't go to the inside and they don't fight in the pocket, but he was fighting in the pocket. He was giving up that size, and he's very crafty in there. He knows when to roll punches, when to parry, when to block, when to slip, when to dip. Very good feet, and this threw Paul Kroll off. Paul Kroll was very inefficient early on, and I think Paul Kroll had a hard time getting a good rhythm in the fight. And as the fight wore on, you saw Taylor begin to grow in confidence. You saw Taylor begin to land the left hook. One of which I can't remember the round, but there was one hook that he landed that hit Paul. He hit Paul Kroll so hard that Paul Kroll literally flew across the ring. He was hitting Paul Kroll in the head. He was hitting Paul Kroll in the neck. And overall, it was just a very disappointing performance from Paul Kroll. Now, when I scored the fight, I had it very, very wide. I had it 7-1 for Taylor. I could see it no better than 6-2 for Taylor, but Taylor clearly won this fight. And following the fight, Taylor had some quotes. He stated the following, saying, I quote, "I thought I had it for sure. I thought I had the fight in the bag. I don't know what the judges saw. I was being the aggressor and I landed the cleaner shots. I thought I really had the fight with I really had won the fight with no questions. I don't know what else I could have done." Paul Kroll chimed in by saying, and I quote, "I thought I won the fight 5-3. I took the beginning and the end. He won a couple rounds in the middle. We can run it back on the next ShoBox. I'm ready to fight him again. He was awkward, but I outworked him on the inside. I won that fight." And I just even reading that on paper, Paul Kroll don't even sound like he believed the BS that's coming out of his mouth. There's no way he can be honest with himself and think he won that fight. There's no way. He didn't win that fight. Anybody who watched that fight knows that he didn't win that fight, or that the fight wasn't a draw, I should say, because nobody won the fight on paper. He knows that this fight wasn't a draw. He knows that he lost. And I don't like to use CombiBox, but because CombiBox isn't the end all be all, and it doesn't always tell the whole story of the fight. But if if we're going by CombiBox, it supports what we saw. Total punches landed, Taylor landed 109 punches on a 34% connect percentage to Paul Kroll's 84 on a 29% connect percentage. So you don't want to use CompuBox numbers as a end-all, be-all. But if you watch this fight and you look at the numbers, it supports what you saw. You know, I really don't think this is a fight that warrants rematch. I think Taylor beat him. I wish they would overturn the decision because it was that wide of a fight. Paul Kroll talked a good game. You know, he talked a hell of a game. I was watching a lot of the interviews on YouTube on like YSM Sports Media. Shout out to Jameel Parker. He was talking a great big game on Showtime and on the internet when it came to this fight. And when push came to shove and the lights came on, he didn't perform. He didn't show his quality on the night. So it's unfortunate that the judges missed a great fight, a great performance from Taylor because he won this fight. It's unfortunate he doesn't get credited with the win because it was a performance that was worthy of a win. Taylor, you know, it sucks because he needed a win like that. That would have been big for him because he's boxed some good guys. Like he's boxed some guys at a decent level. You know, like that top 75 level, like Jimmy Quiet Still Williams and Jeremy J. Flash Nichols and Lucas Santamaria, who's even at a higher level now, but he got a draw against him. But this would have been the best win of his career. To beat a guy like Paul Kroll, who's been beating a lot of good fighters, who was 2016 qualified for the 2016 Olympic team, standout amateur, you know, really pegged to do some big things in the sport. For him to not get the decision over Paul Kroll, I just think is an injustice. And yeah, I just wanted to talk about it a little bit. So shout out to Marquise Taylor, Houston's very own. I'm a fan. I don't care what they say about Taylor. Some people say Marquise Taylor can't punch. He can't do this. He can't do that. But man, what he can do is be a very, very tricky puzzle to solve. He's almost like a more mobile, more muscular version of Maurice Hooker. Because him and Maurice Hooker have the same body frame, and he's stronger. He looks like he's got more muscle than Maurice Hooker, but he has his own style. He fights the fight that works for him. It was very effective. He neutralized and rendered Paul Kroll ineffective. You know, Paul Kroll, for all the talk and all the reputation about his boxing skills and this, that, and the third, you know, Paul Kroll got really sloppy as the fight progressed, and it was Taylor that looked like the more polished of the two fighters as the fight continued to wear on. So that's my take on the fight. Shout out to both fighters, but Marquise Taylor, you beat Paul Kroll. You know, great performance. Paul Kroll, get back to the drawing board and improve because this wasn't your best work. I know you better. I know Paul Kroll is better than he showed in this fight, but yeah. Leave your comments down below. Make sure you guys take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Dania. So until next time, take care, guys. Thank you for watching another video on True School Sports, the home of boxing. If you made it this far, do me a favor and do yourself a damn favor. Hit that subscribe button and surely you will not be disappointed. You know, True School Sports bringing you the latest and greatest, the untouchable, you know, boxing content, interviews, news videos, breakdowns, live fight reaction extravaganza. We've got a great community of people here, boxing fans all over the world, from America to the UK to Australia and on and on and on. So join the empire today. Hit that subscribe button. Take care and God bless.